Hey everybody, welcome back to House of Asher. This is your host Steve Asher, which works out pretty well. You are listening to segment 2 of House of Asher, segment 27. And what we're going to do is we're going to get back with Miss Natasha. And we were touching base on Bigfoot. And after finishing that up, we're going to jump off into some other legends. Hey Natasha, welcome back.
Hi, thanks for that, Steve.
Okay, so we were last we were talking. We were discussing energy and ley lines and all that. And I know that there are areas that were very sacred to the Aboriginal people and still are. I was going to ask you too. Are you familiar with a band called Midnight Oil?
Yes.
Okay, are you familiar? So you know all about his the singer who did a lot of advocacy for Aboriginal people and this and that. That's where I kind of got a little bit of education on that. Like I said, I remember stuff like, Beds Are Burning and stuff like that, which had a really good hook. It was one of those things, I think it works better. I think if more people with an agenda had, like, a good hook behind it and a good beat, something you can kind of dance to, it might sink into people's heads more. I think nowadays there's so many talking points. I will not get political, I'm sorry. But I'm just saying, that's where I kind of got turned on to some of the magic in the locality of different local things of going on in Australia, which of course, being American, most what people here know are like all the crappy, oh my God, stereotypical Shrimp on the Barbie and Crocodile Dundee and all this stuff. But anyway, so like I said, I love the fact that I'm getting educated on stuff, because there's nothing better. That's one of the best things about having internet interactions like this, that you really can touch base with people, and it's not like to me, I think that makes things a lot better, just communally, earthwise, that everyone's like, we all have different little odd things in our areas. We all, grow up, take care of our kids. Everybody's different, but everybody's the same. So did you have some more to say on Bigfoot? Or I knew you were talking about a couple other legends that you had mentioned to me before.
Yeah, there's a couple here. This one's actually one of my favorites. It's lesser known than the Yowie. So we have, and this, I don't know.
Okay. I was going to say,
as a little kid, it's always scared me.
Oh,
it's called the Bunyip.
The what?
It's the Bunyip.
Bunya.
A Bunyip.
Yup, with a P.
Yep.
Okay.
A Bunyip.
Okay.
It's basically like, well, it's a water creature, demon kind of thing.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's scary. It basically lives in swamps and like billabongs and rivers and whatnot, and if you get too close to the river, it'll come out and grab you and eat you.
No, that's not good.
It was sort of like growing up, it was kind of like a boogeyman sort of thing for us, where it's like, don't go out in the forest alone or whatever, a bunyip will get you.
Right.
Yeah, which is, like I said, it still gives me the shivers. It's so silly, but it's a pretty funky little, well, it's like the way it looks, it tends to vary a lot depending on people's sightings. I always thought it was more like like an entity more than like a physical thing, more like, I guess, a negative energy or like a spirit,
like a manifestation of something dark.
Yeah, rather than like a cryptid or an animal. But I've done a little bit of research into it, and I've found that generally people have seen lots of different things, and they've actually seen physical things. Some people have said that it's got a crocodile head, or like a dog face, or like a duck bill even. And it's not just Aboriginal people who've sighted it. A lot of the early settlers have also, I shouldn't really say they're settlers, they're more like convicts or people who are like colonial.
Right, the first fleet, I think they were called, right, when they sent the slaves off from, or not the slaves, well, basically slaves, prisoners from European jails and stuff. Am I thinking of the right time period?
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
No, I was just saying, I'm assuming you're talking about the first fleet where they sent a lot of convicts and stuff over to colonize?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, they're the ones. So yeah, they've seen bunyips as well. I think for me personally, I don't know. I'm going to say there's no such things as bunyips. So I don't get too scared. It's dark
Well,
outside. I don't want to think about it too much.
well, we
But
had a similar thing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to walk on what you said, but
no,
we
you're
had a
right.
similar thing here, which and it was very much the same thing. Look, we have a lot of woods in Western Kentucky, and um, areas like anywhere you go, you can go to New Jersey, which is in Eastern Kentucky, or Eastern Kentucky, sorry, Eastern USA, or you can go to
Yeah.
like Seattle and places, which is very urban, but then there's deep ancient forests, and everything's got different creatures in it and different legends because there's parents that don't want their kids creeping out at night. And one of the things we had
Yeah.
was bloody bones, and this came from an early European um, folk tale. I think it was Welsh, and it talked about it talks about, okay, like, so you're in your bed and your mom's going, which is a crazy story to tell, but it kept us in our bed. And he said, okay, Bloody Bones, he's walking down by, the center of town, he's coming around the corner, Bloody Bones, every time, Bloody Bones, every time it says another 5 or 6 blocks, Bloody Bones, right? And then finally it's like, well, he's down at our corner, he's up, up by the porch, he's into the house, and then, he's at your bedroom door, and then he kind of grabs your feet, and you scream. But, which sounds terrifying, in black and white, but as a kid it was one of my better memories. But I think that same thing of going, beware, because I have a friend who I'm sorry, is Puerto Rican, and they talk about the Kakoi, which is sort of similar to a chupacabra a little bit. And they were talking about, don't creep out because these things are going to snatch you up and gobble you up, and it's funny how much of that is so universal, and because kids are
Yeah.
going to explore. I know I did, and thank God I never ran into anything like that. But it seems like, because you were talking about the swamp and interacting with different people seeing things differently, I wonder if that varies by different region, and is that just, I wonder if that's really organic, or if that's sort of like, well, our buoy monster or whatever has this and that, or well, ours has wings. Okay, well, no, ours can disappear and reappear. Ours can go through walls. I wonder how much of that is the story grows as it goes. I don't know if we have a thing called a fish story here, which, like, a guy goes out and catches like a 4-inch fish or whatever your metric conversion would be, and then by the time he gets
Yeah.
home after telling 5 or 6 friends, it's like a 14 foot, long as the boat. you know
Yep.
I think there's a certain humanity to that, because everybody wants the next story to be bigger and better, and but I wonder if there's any actual truth in regards of living creatures or creatures that had lived there at one time connecting with these creatures.
Well, with the bunyip, I think there could be. And it's an interesting point that you bring up, and I think that's really one of the beautiful things about like mythology and laws and legend in general, is like how everybody sort of has like a similar story, and even though things are very different and we all come from very different regions of the world, we all really are very much the same.
Hmm.
But with the bunyip, I think it could be a bit of both. Well, like you said, with the whole warning story about being warned to not go into swamps and billabongs and rivers and whatnot, because they could potentially be eaten up by a crocodile, or drown
Dingoes
and
and all kinds
whatnot.
of stuff, sure.
Yeah, for sure. There's also a few sightings here that say that like it's got a crocodile head, so obviously crocodile. Or it could it's got a horned sort of spear thing. In regions, so some regions say that it's got features like that, but so do stingrays, which are common in the area where they think a bunyip's got horned bones, because some stingrays do have like the long tail and it's got like spikes at the side of it, so that
Right.
makes sense.
Well, I
There was an
remember Steve.
incident.
Well, I was just gonna say, I remember Steve Irwin. I thought he died, got poked in the heart by a stingray, didn't it? It killed him instantly, I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah, yeah. Very rare.
Right. Well, I mean, you jump in there. I mean, God rest his soul, but
Yeah, some
I,
of them can
you're
be
not going
quite
to hear about me
dangerous.
being
So.
stung by a stingray, because I'm not going to get in the water with them. I'll look at them at
Oh,
the
really?
park or something and go, "Aren't they beautiful? Okay, let's go, kids." But yeah, you kind of play with fire. Sometimes that happens, which it's so interesting. I was going to ask you real quick, and I won't get off in too far. You
Yeah.
have like some characters like Steve Irwin, and now like his children and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
You know, it like how do you guys view that? Do you view that like, okay, he's kind of playing up the thing a little bit, or that's really neat and it's kind of cool to have someone out there, speaking for, the area.
Oh, yeah, we loved him. He's a national hero.
Okay, good. Well, see,
Yeah, we really loved him. He was real special to us. And yeah, what he was doing, yeah, not the average Australian person, jumps on crocodiles and screams crikey, but
oh, crumbs.
Some of them do. Yeah, right. Some of them do. No, he was just a real true blue Aussie guy, and yeah, it was we were all sad to see him go, and yeah, and by a stingray of all things. We see stingrays on the beach all the time. You'd be careful not to step on them and stuff, but generally they're pretty safe. A stingray is not an animal I'm afraid of, kind of thing. And yeah, we were all pretty shocked that he passed away from that.
Well, let me ask you a couple more things because we're starting to wind down about the last 3 minutes of this. And I appreciate you coming on and talking to me. But the last minute or so, can you throw me now about maybe any more legends? Now, I know they talked about the rainbow serpent and things like that, which I think ties in with some of the early mythology. Like I said, there's so many things. We could probably do 6 segments because there's so many varied animals and so many varied mythologies and lore and all this. Is there any of those you want to throw out, or is there anything you want to mention in regards of stuff you're involved in, things you're trying to promote, anything like that? Because usually I might have somebody going, okay, do you have a book out? Do you have this out? Do you, know, something?
Well, I'd like more people to join the Hillbilly Horror Stories group. We have this, so we do have a group for the podcast, which me and Tim and John run along with Tracy and Jerry, and it's a great little group. We're very close to the 1,000 mark, so I'm trying to get everyone to join and sort of tip over that 1,000 mark. That'll be pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
And I'm not sure when this episode is going to come out, but Jerry and Tracy are going to have their 100th episode come out soon, so I'm trying to get everybody in the group for that. And yeah, generally, Hillbilly Horror Stories is a great little podcast to listen to. They do cover a lot of sort of ghost stories and a little bit of everything, really, but mostly paranormal stuff. And it's a lot of lesser known stories, a lot of local stuff. I find when I'm listening to other podcasts, I kind of already know about the stories that they cover, but with Jerry and Tracy, there's so many random stories out there that I've never heard of.
Well, see, that's what we tried to do. Well, I'm sorry. That's what we, because we had talked before that, because like I said, they are in the central northeastern, whereas I'm in the western. So like I said, it's oh, do you know about this? And sometimes our stories overlaps, but sometimes it's I had no idea, and then I'd mention things here, and they're like, what? Because they'll talk about Waverly Hills, which is a big area that's got a lot of hauntings, and then I start talking to them about Western State, like in the hauntings of the Western Lunatic Asylum book that I wrote, and so we would touch base on that. So it's great that you have podcasters that are kind of in a collective, and everybody's good with each other and share with each other. But what I'm going to do here is I'm getting ready to get things set up to start fading out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you on mute for a minute, and I'm going to wind this down and say goodbye to all these good folks. And I appreciate you being on the show, man. And everybody, I want you guys to remember, as the day gets long and the shadows grow long and the night approaches, check under your beds, check out through your closets, through your floor vents, out your windows. There might be something from the bully bog out there waiting on you. But what I want you guys to remember most, above all, love yourselves, love each other, and stay scared.